On Friday, there will be two contrasting visuals at two ends of the United States. The National Guard and the Marines on the streets of LA, sent there by President Trump to guard federal buildings and agents during protests sparked by immigration raids. On the other side of the country in Washington, soldiers will celebrate the 250th Army Day, marching down Constitution Avenue with tanks and armored vehicles. It also happens to be President Trump's 79th birthday. There are nearly 2,000 protests that have been planned against this parade in Washington. Now we know California's top officials are not happy with the military coming into LA to do police work. Governor Gavin Newsom is calling the move unconstitutional and theatrical. He has accused Trump of behaving like a dictator, doing this more as a political play than a public safety effort. The state has even sued the Trump administration. They argue the president skipped the rule book by ignoring state authority and legal thresholds under federal laws. Newsom got a brief victory from a district judge before an appeals court allowed Trump to continue with command of the National Guard before the court could get into a detailed hearing. Meanwhile, in downtown LA, tensions are running high. But so far, protests have stayed largely peaceful. There have been reports of violence from some blocks. LA has a nighttime curfew and several arrests have been made after there were clashes. The protests have also gone nationwide. There have been protests in New York, Chicago, San Antonio, Washington, to name a few places. But let's get to the heart of this story, where this started. It began with immigration or ICE officials raiding workplaces in the garment district, in meat plants, even in the fields and courthouses. And who were the people who were rounded up, detained, and now face deportation?
My father was supposed to see my sister graduate today. Something, how she said, is something he worked so hard for. Saw her struggle so much. We saw how much she struggled, how much she accomplished towards the end. And he's not going to be able to be here to see her graduate.
What happened that day was a very traumatizing scene. I witnessed how they put my father in handcuffs, chained him from the waist and from his ankles.
Mi papá se llama José Ortiz. Él trabajó aquí 18 años. Fue muy doloroso verlo ser arrestado el viernes junto con sus compañeros a los que él cuidaba mucho.
El día viernes 6 de junio, él salió a trabajar. Mas no imaginamos que fuera secuestrado por agentes de inmigración.
Many of these migrants have worked decades to build their lives in the United States. They have worked hard to do jobs many Americans wouldn't do. They've supported their families and they've made a better life for themselves. Some fled violence in their own countries. Others crossed over illegally, hoping America would give them opportunities they couldn't get back home. They were building their American dream. Many don't have criminal records. Many have followed up for years to sort out their paperwork, to legalize their immigration status, kept court dates, worked for lower salaries. It's also true that President Trump isn't doing anything that he hadn't promised he would do during the campaign. Immigration was a hot button issue. He got major support for it, and he's now set targets for achieving those mass deportations that MAGA supporters swooned over at his rallies. But here's the thing. What you think is policy seems to be more like an evolving thought process. And decisions change depending on what Trump thinks about it. He may have one point of view today and the opposite tomorrow. And America is following those contrasting ends like policy. Don't take my word for it. Watch what President Trump says on farm workers targeted by ICE raids.
Well, we're not targeting. In fact, if you look today, I put out a statement today about farmers. Our farmers are being hurt badly by, they have very good workers. They've worked for them for 20 years. They're not citizens, but they've turned out to be, great. And we're going to have to do something about that. So we're going to have an order on that pretty soon, I think. We can't do that to our farmers, and leisure too, hotels. We're going to have to use a lot of common sense on that.
That's exactly the point. The US has a large number of undocumented migrants who work for Americans, who have been doing so for years. They have been helping the American economy. Trump's promise to do something about these migrants with no criminal records, who, as he put it, are loved by American farm owners and have been working for 2 decades or more. But when ICE conducts these raids, that's not the formula they are following. They aren't going after only those with criminal records. They are going for anyone who could be an undocumented immigrant. As legal and public battles unfold, many Americans are questioning what happens next. The answer you hope for depends on which side you support. For more such stories, subscribe to SNG News, hit the like button and follow for more news updates.